Thank you very fantastic, and thank you so much. I just want to start. We'll start off with Mr. Branch, if you don't mind. Mr. Branch, I was asking you about the training, and right after I was asking you about this, about the sexual assault training, somebody had published that not all OHL teams, and I'm going to quote, according to the Ontario Coalition of Rape Crisis Centres, an independent organization that has been tracking the OHL on-site training, some teams stopped after the onset of COVID-19. Perhaps, Mr. Branch, you can give me an update on if all of the teams are all back into this, or what the current status is.
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chair. COVID caused us to have to pause the training, and that was at the request of the the Ontario Rape Crisis Coalition. One of the pillars of the program that they want to have is that their representative meets in person. They didn't want to do it virtually, so we had to pause it there. And then last year, we had more difficulty because in the province of Ontario, there was ongoing health and safety guidelines around COVID.
Mr. Branch, I'm really sorry. I just don't have a lot of time, so perhaps you can tell me, if we're looking at today, July 27th of 2022, how many of your OHL teams and how many teams would actually be doing this training each and every month or are currently doing it?
All our teams will engage with the program once again at the start of our season.
Okay, so all of them will be engaging. Absolutely. And when we're doing this, is it a monthly program? I know it's all different because of those things, but is it, let's talk about what it is. Is it an hour once a month? Is it a day? Is it ongoing? How does this actually happen? What are the measurements of this training? Is it that they sit in the room, listen to everything, or are there some measurables to see if this training actually worked?
Well, I mean, we have an orientation week that we call it at the start of the year, and that's where most of our education programs are introduced and administered. It's a 2-hour program. Each team has a designated support person, and it's through that mechanism, if there's a need for follow-up, that may occur in that fashion.
Okay, so I just want to be sure. We're taking a whole bunch. I'm looking at the CHL, and I'm from a hockey town. I'll be honest, I'm right outside of the London Knights territory. So I'm looking at the fact that we're bringing usually between 16 and 17 and 18-year-old boys. We're putting them into billet families where their regular parent systems aren't there. I know from reaching out, because of course this is really important, reaching out to some of the billet families with the OHL who have said to me that they've never had follow-up from the team to ensure that, their curfews are being met. When they call the parents, there may have been, with one parent I know, this kid actually had a sign out, so he was going to get the money, he was signed up at the NHL. Curfew didn't matter to him anymore. The fact is, these are young men that we're bringing in here, and young men still need to mature. We know that. I'm a mom. We know that children need to mature, and that at the age of 17 and 18, there are going to be bad decisions. What are you doing to ensure that we are creating good men from these programs?
Well, as a league, we named our very first Director of Player Services last year. And one of his core responsibilities is to make sure that all our programs are being delivered and delivered properly. There's no excuse what you raised here in terms of a team not following up with the billets. Billets are our lifeline in looking after these young men. It's a very structured environment. It has to be for the reasons you've already described. So we're managing it. We're working it as best we can.
Okay, and thank you very much for that. I just now want to turn it back to Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, in your opening, you had mentioned that you have the support of Hockey Canada representatives and of associations across this country. I'm just wondering, from the minor hockey leagues, how did you find out that they're actually supporting you? I just spoke to a coach who texted me saying, hey, I wasn't part of that survey, and I do not support what's happening with the Hockey Canada programs. So I'm just asking, Mr. Smith, how do you know you have the support of minor hockey across Canada?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe that in my opening statement I made reference to the support that I've received from our Board of Directors, the Hockey Canada Board, as well as our 13 members, which are the governing bodies. So you may have spoken to an individual with a minor hockey association and received that feedback, but they would be part of the member, I'm assuming, within, I'm assuming it would be, they would be a member of the Ontario Hockey Federation, which is one of our 13 members.
Yeah, I just think right here we just see so many disconnects.
Karen, I don't think we have time for them to answer that question. You've
That's
got
okay.
8 seconds left. Thank you. I'm sorry
thank you.
about that.
That's all good.
We have time.